Hey, it's Murs. Welcome back to my channel where I review horror books with a supernatural focus. In today's episode, we're doing a new episode of Indie Nightmares, and this is where I showcase some books by horror indie authors that you should definitely check out. I think it's gonna be good. It's a real mix of stuff this time, like really a mixed bag, so it's gonna be interesting. If you want to submit your horror book for this series, the Indie Nightmares series, the link is down in the description. It's a form. You just fill it out real quick. There's only 3 requirements. So you just need to be an indie horror author. You need to have a link for us to buy it or download your work. It needs to be horror. This is one of my favorite videos to do for a lot of different reasons. One, it's just fun, but I also get to help out some indie authors. I just feel like any little bit of exposure is going to help them out. It's very hard to get people to read your books. All of the links will be down in the description to purchase or download these books. So I hope you find something. It'll make the author's day. It'll make my day, and we can support some people living out their dream. Before we jump into the video, don't forget to like and comment down below. Let us know what book sounded really interesting to you. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. So the first book we have is The Patron's Pick, and how this works is I send a group of synopses to my patrons. There's no title, there's no author, there's no book cover, and I just ask them to pick the one that sounds most interesting to them. And that's the winner. And the other books are just gonna have to wait until the next round to come into an episode. So this month's Patron's Pick is Dark is the Water by Susan Earlam. And this is a collection of short stories and flash fiction. And flash fiction is just like super, super short. I don't know if it's considered microfiction, but it's like super short stories. This cover is a really nice and striking with the black, red, and white. I like that the hair sort of has this like water-like quality, but it's connecting all of them together. It's very cool. These are folklore and supernatural genres. These stories feature a gang of young women who are not what they seem. A creature waits on a beach. The everyday spaces of cricket grounds and train stations become places where inhabitants unravel into themselves. That's interesting. The author's obsession with bodies and their potential for metamorphosis is unveiled in this haunting collection. This collection will make you question what it is to live on the edges of this and other worlds. If you like Shirley Jackson, Angela Carter, and Julia Armfeld, then this might be for you. I think it sounds a little bit surreal and kind of weird, which is kind of cool. She Wants to Play Again by Anthony Taylor. You might remember in a previous episode that we talked about She Wants to Play. Well, this one is the sequel to that. This cover is very nondescript, but I think like I kind of like the empty seat, because it's, I don't know, I think it's like suggesting that someone is there. This is a slashers, serial killers, psychos kind of thing. And it says, it's been a year since the Wares Valley Massacre, and the final 11 attempt to return to normalcy. However, for Theo Rose, nothing is the same. After his first session with his new therapist, Dr. Dolores Stranton, he receives a call from his estranged friend, Selena Price, informing him of Mama's return and that Mercy's alive. Theo dismisses her claim and assumes that she is seeing things, refusing to believe anyone could survive such a fall. But when Selena vanishes, Theo becomes worried that perhaps she is telling the truth and the Adams have returned. Are the final 11 able to survive a second massacre, or will they have the courage to end this nightmare? I'm someone who's not really into slashers at all. Like when I watch films that are slashers, like sometimes I can kind of get into it because it is tension, it's kind of scary, But like reading it, I don't know. It's always that thing of like, I just want it to be supernatural. But I don't know if that's just because like the story really isn't grabbing me enough to where like I'm not pining for something else. But whatever, it's not my things. I stay away from it. But I know a lot of you guys like slashers, so this might be a good one for you. The next one is Charlie by Joe Humphrey. This is a body horror supernatural story. This cover for Charlie is pretty cool, just like in a graphic design kind of way. It has like that $7.99 sticker on the top right. It looks like an old paperback. You know, I kind of love that kind of aesthetic. This takes place in the early 1970s. Charlie, a teenage runaway, and a vampire named Caroline meet. And the course of Charlie's life is changed forever. Caroline wants a partner for eternity, and Charlie wants to escape Los Angeles. There's a note here from the author and it says, "It's the first in a series of stories originally started as a collection of short stories. I've compiled and reworked them into a 3-part set of novels. Charlie is the first." Lady of the House. I really like this cover. It's very understated, but I like this gingham with like the blood on it. This is by Grace R. Reynolds, and this is psychological horror, and it is poetry. Lady of the House shares the fictional tale of Lady, a 1940s riveter turned housewife trapped by a loveless marriage and societal framework that makes it difficult for her to abandon her current circumstances. She feels purposeless, hopeless, and she is angry, resentful. Ooh. This dark and haunted poetry collection is sure to please readers of the macabre. And I do love the macabre, okay? Like there is a real art form to the macabre.
So macabre.
The author has a little list here, a little bit that kind of talks a little bit more about Lady of the House. It says it's horror poetry. It is a female-led protagonist. It has mental health awareness, and it's a complex look at womanhood in the post-World War II era. Cool. Our last one is Beasts of the Calibur Lodge. What a title. This is by L.J. Dougherty. This is cryptid horror and espionage horror. This cover is pretty cool. It sort of reminds me of a comic book. I like it. This kind of like high threshold and these colors and stuff. It's really nice. The Sasquatch kind of reminds me of, he's reminding me of like somebody from like an 80s or 70s show, and I can't place it. I'm gonna be thinking about this like late at night for no reason. It's 1965, and Jimmy Knotts has grown accustomed to the danger involved with his line of work. Hunting escaped Nazis across multiple continents has whittled him down to a focused predator. When his latest lead brings him to an elite hunting lodge in the Alaskan frontier, Jimmy is ushered into a frozen realm of territorial monsters, unlike any he's ever encountered. Pulp horror meets international intrigue in an adventure full of icy suspense, cinematic ultra-violence, and Sasquatches. There is a note here from the author who says, "This is the first book in a series of espionage horror, a subgenre I coined." I feel like I'm learning about these like different subgenres that I've never heard about. Like somebody asked me in the comments, they were like, would you consider urban fantasy to be horror? And I was like, I don't even know what that is, you know? So I looked it up. It does have like supernatural elements, but also like magical elements and surrealism and stuff. And so I was like, I don't know. You know, I mean, if its aim is to scare and to, you know, be spooky or something, I guess. But I'm not really sure. What do you guys think? Urban fantasy, would you consider that horror? And I also wrote a story and I called it demon noir. I don't think that's something I made up myself. I feel like, I just feel like somebody obviously made that up before me, but I was like, oh, I never hear of that. You know, it's kind of cool. Demon noir. So I always like hearing about different genres just because like, I guess you never think about it until you hear it, you know? So those are the 5 books for this episode. I told you it's a real mixed bag. It was pretty cool. A lot of just very different books in there. So I think for myself, my favorite one is The Lady of the House. I think that one kind of just gets to me the most. I don't know if it was just like the way that the author ended that synopsis, but I was like, Ooh, I fester too. I'm not really big into poetry per se, but every so often I'll hear someone doing some spoken word, or I'll read something and I'm blown away, obliterated, you know, like just wishing that I could write and express myself that way. So thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Don't forget, if you want to pick up any of these books, the links are down there in the comments, in the description box. Please take care of yourselves, look out for each other, and I will talk to you next time.